Hey there, thanks for joining us for the Monster at the End of this podcast. I'm Lauren.
I'm Chris.
We're just two Supernatural fans from Michigan. We're both finishing up our undergraduates at college.
Yep. I started my journey into Supernatural during season 8 when I saw both my parents watching it. Seemed pretty cool. I'm a casual fan. I have some episodes I really, really like, so I know pretty much exactly how they go. And then there are ones that I couldn't even tell you what they were about.
Yeah. I am a huge fan. I know all the episode names and plots by heart, but I didn't get into it until the summer before season 10 was airing. So now that Supernatural's over and quarantine's still in effect, we're both really bored. We live together, and we both really enjoy talking about stories.
Yeah, I mean, we're both creative writing minors in college, and we're both working on our own stories. So looking at others, we can
like to analyze the stuff.
We love to talk about it because we can get deep into it.
Yeah, and we love the show, so we really love these characters, and we just think it'd be cool to analyze it all. So this podcast is basically, we're going to take each episode and look at it individually and just as a whole now that the show's over. We're going to delve into stuff like plot, lore, character development, cinematography, literary devices, which kind of is like parallels and foreshadowing, criticisms, and then, whatever else we want to talk about. We can do whatever the heck we want. So,
there's a lot to talk about with this show.
Yeah. All right, so to get into it, we're going to start with the first episode. Season 1, Episode 1 is Pilot, and it was written by Eric Kripke, directed by David Nutter.
Yeah, and the basic synopsis is Sam and Dean Winchester were trained by their father to hunt the creatures that go bump in the night, the creatures of the supernatural. Now, their father has mysteriously disappeared while hunting the demon that killed their mother 22 years ago.
So first, to look at the plot, I mean, it's like the pilot episode. There's really not much to go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pilot.
They did a good job. You're into it. And I think, you have the clear idea of, Dean's looking for his dad and needs the help, but you don't really have Sam, he doesn't really have a reason to go until the end when his girlfriend Jess is killed by the same demon, same way that his mom died. So now he has a personal reason, and then that starts the series.
Right, and you know exactly what the next couple episodes are going to be about already.
Exactly.
Because they set it up so well in this one.
Yeah. For lore, we got a couple things. We learn about ghosts just in general, about how they can, control objects like the car.
Yeah, Dean's car. Question is, was she driving it or was she in it? Controlling it?
Yeah, you never know if she was like Sam in the Changing Channels episode.
Yeah.
We learn that spirits can go vengeful as we see the woman in white. We learned about the woman in white, that type of ghost.
There have been many before, as Sam has said.
Yeah, unfaithful husband equals insanity. Wife kills the children, and then they're guilty, and they kill themselves. But we learn, about vengeful spirits because the woman in white, she wasn't just going after cheating people. She was actively making them cheat so she could kill.
Trying to get out that vengeful rage that she had.
So we also get some warding stuff when they go to visit. They go see their dad's motel room. Yeah, motel room. You see that there's warding up salt and cat's eye shells. We actually never see cat's eye shells again. I looked it up.
Really?
They're never talked about again.
I noticed that was weird because they have salt in almost every episode.
Yeah,
right?
so that's kept continued.
Yeah, but then cat's eye shells, what even is a cat's eye shell?
I don't know. I did some research, but it's a typical warding thing in hoodoo type.
Huh. Interesting.
Stuff. So, and then we obviously get, the look at Dad's journal, a really important aspect of the show. There's a lot of focus put on it, and you can see that's the big, what is that? What's the word for that?
It's the big...
That's the Yoda, basically.
Right.
It's a really important part of their story, and it's really helpful in their journey to finding Dad and to defeating all of the monsters and ghosts and whatever they come across.
And you can see it's also very important to Dean when the cop shows it to him.
Yeah.
He knows how detrimental that is.
Exactly. And you can tell just in his facial expressions. And the cop can see it too.
Right. The Dean Winchester slipped up.
So now we've got character development.
Yes. We see, first episode, we see that they really wanted to take more of a focus on Sam in my opinion,
Yeah.
as being the quote-unquote more important brother.
Well, yeah, and he's always been listed number one on the call sheet.
Right.
Jared is listed number one on the call sheet because Sam was the main character.
Right, and that's obvious in what happens to him.
He's the one who got bled on.
Right. He has the new connection to his hated father.
Yeah, yeah. I also noticed that they did really well on, like, through little exposition, we really learn about both of the brothers' personalities that you see throughout the series. Because Dean, I mean, he's a douchebag and he's cocky and abrasive and impolite and kind of like, fuck the police.
We see this
ACAB.
Really early on.
Really early on,
change.
that resonates throughout. But we also see more like deeper stuff, especially with Dean. Sorry if I always have more input on Dean. He's like one of my favorite characters.
Right, same.
But so those abandonment issues that Dean has throughout the entire series, like when he's talking about Sam going off to college, he's like, that's why you ran away, but he really just went to college. He's super emotionally stunted, defensive, and projects his emotions all the time.
What? No.
All the time. And
Dean
so
Winchester?
He's really defensive of his mom's death, like doesn't want to talk about it, or his dad's efforts to go after her because his dad like brainwashed him to be a soldier, and that's made clear throughout the series. And then
he is God's soldier. That's what he was supposed to be.
Exactly. And then no chick flick moments. Well, it's made clear in multiple episodes later that Dean loves chick flicks. He's a projector. He projects what he's feeling, especially when he says, "You're such a control freak" in this episode when he's acting like the control freak.
Yeah, and we definitely see that upcoming. In the earlier seasons, he really tries to control what happens with them.
And he wants to be the one to do all the hard stuff.
Right.
There's the theme that John made Dean protect Sam from such an early age on, forcing Dean to take on that mother and father and just protector of Sam, getting rid of any chance at Dean being able to have a childhood.
Right. I mean, we see in flashbacks multiple times how much Dean doesn't act like a kid.
Yeah. Because
he's taking care of Sam or because he's
trying.
Yeah, he's trying to be strong. So we see that
he was, and that's another reason
that.
He was so emotionally stunted. He had to be there for Sam.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't be there for himself as much. He's just, got to deal with it. Got to be there for Sam.
Right.
Sam can't see me cry,
Didn't have the necessary steps of childhood to help him out there.
And then Sam, I mean, we see that he's super good at talking to people. He's the one who goes and talks to the husband and is, like, super soft-spoken and, not abrasive. And then he wants to have the normal life. He rebels against, what Daddy wanted for him. He's smart. He's the good person. We also do get a sense of, like, when he's around Dean, though, he can be a little bad because he does make that fake 911 call to get him out of jail.
Right, of course. The classic fake 911.
And then one criticism that you had, about the exposition part, you noticed a part that there was a lot more exposition.
Yeah, it was a very clear statement on their past. When Dean was trying to convince Sam to go with him initially, he's like, they gave a timeline, basically.
They just
how
told
long it had been.
Really telly.
It was very telly.
Yeah.
And, in our creative writing courses, you learn show, don't tell. So that was my little criticism on
that part.
Right.
Yeah, because I feel like, for their past, they did a lot of telling, but for character, stuff, they did a lot of showing.
They did a lot of showing with the actions of the characters. Yeah. And I think because this was a pilot episode, being a little telly is okay.
I mean, they have to...
They have 22 years of history.
And they have 40 minutes to get the audience on board and, get the show picked up.
Continue the series.
They want to get the show picked up. But now we can move on to cinematography, one of my favorite parts. So I really like, at the beginning, there's the use of the silhouettes in the fight scene where we, the audience, like Sam, don't know that that's his brother.
We just see a man walking in his house.
We don't know who Dean is yet. We know who Dean is, but we don't know what adult Dean is.
Right. We don't know this Dean.
Yeah. When all of the, woman in white scenes, I really like how they're emphasizing the contrast of light and dark because she's always placed in a lot of really, really dark settings. So she's kind of made to seem like this siren kind of lady and she is. She pulls these men to their death.
Right. She stands out in the white dress, but she's in dark
She's got this
scenes.
glowing effect to her, angelic, and they pick her up. I mean, also, a lot of them are cheaters and douchebags, and
Right.
but
Right. Except Sam.
Sam did not deserve that. That was mean on the Woman in White's part. Transitions I thought were done pretty well in this episode. One that I really like is when Jess is like talking to Sam. She's like, "Can you at least tell me where you're going?"
Yeah,
and then it just cuts
to where we're at, like where
the murder
they're going.
The murder starts.
Well, we get the answer to Jess's question, and it's left ambiguous if she ever gets the answer to that.
She doesn't.
Probably
no way.
Not. He told her that the dad was hunting.
Yeah, so she didn't get an answer. Another thing was jerky camera movements for the ghosts. I really liked that because that's used throughout the entire series, and so now when the audience sees like jerky camera movements, from now on we can already suspect, oh, this could be a ghost.
Yeah, we could be dealing with a ghost here. We're clued in just like the boys could be clued in.
Yeah, and then with that, like in the car, the ghost is so creepy. Like her movements and her face.
When she gets in the car with, the initial douchebag that picks her up at the beginning of the episode, I love how she just seamlessly disappears into the car.
Yeah.
Because that right there clues the audience into, oh no, this boy doesn't even know that he's in trouble.
True.
He is clueless, but the audience can see it.
I like the part with Sam in the car when she is like on top of him.
When her face flashes.
Is just like flashes, like terrifying.
I don't know how I feel about that. I was wondering why she was like glitching, but I'm pretty sure they do that in the rest of the...
Yeah, they do it in a lot of them.
Yeah, they glitch.
They're glitchy.
But I've never seen them glitch like Skull. I like it.
I liked it. I wish they would have continued that, like, more for Vengeful Spirits, continuing on, like, a very scary face like that. Like, that their face is distorted for Vengeful Spirits. I thought that could have been cool.
Yeah, that could have been cool.
Also, some criticisms. We had a couple criticisms for cinematography stuff.
Right. At the end, when her children are standing at the top of the stairs, the water coming down the stairs is pretty cool. It's a cool concept because, she unfortunately drowned her children out of rage. And the water coming down was really cool. I just don't think they did it well enough. Would have been cool if we could have heard it dripping. It flowed faster as the lights were flickering more.
Yeah, they could have made it more suspenseful.
Right.
Well, but then also, like, they lead into that. It's just the special effects of the ghost being banished in that scene is so bad. Like,
it was so bad, so flashy.
It was so flashy, and I feel like they were trying way too hard to be epic because they do not continue that for when they get rid of ghosts later
I was
going
to
to
say,
it's a lot better. As we continue on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like some ghosts... Oh, in the newest season, when they shoot them with the rock pellets, or the rock salt bullets, don't they just disappear in a cloud of black smoke?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah.
But it's like a gray smoke, a dust.
A
dust. They disappear into a dust.
Thanos snapped sand.
And then when they're destroyed, they go up in flames.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, that's definitely not kept, and I'm glad for that.
Right.
Also, at the beginning, when the first guy dies in the car, there's a blood splatter in the car, which first of all is really unrealistic. It looks terrible.
And it sounds so fake.
And it's on like all the windows. It's like it wouldn't be that perfect.
I know, it was perfect, almost symmetrical splatters.
It was like symmetrical splatters on every window. And then when the police are there, there's no blood there. And it's not like they cleaned it because they said no signs of struggle. And they couldn't find the body. And so they obviously, like, the blood wasn't there. So I don't know if that's a continuity error, but that's always been confusing.
The ghost lady just chucked him over the side.
She drank the blood.
She just licked it all
off the windows. Yeah. So now we're going to go into kind of like the literary devices, foreshadowing parallels, just little techniques that we as creative writers love.
Have noticed.
Absolutely love. So some parallels. I mean, there's not a ton of this to talk about because it's the first episode.
Correct.
So stuff hasn't been really established yet. We know some stuff, obviously, because we've seen it all. But this episode, at the end, Dean tells Sam, "I'll take you home," when that's the catchphrase of the Woman in White. I just thought that was kind of cool, how at the end of the episode, like, they're done with the Woman in White, but he just does that
little
stuff.
hint.
Also, we get the "we got work to do" classic shot from the trunk, beautiful they use that throughout the series.
Yes.
And we know shit's about to get real when we see that.
Watching that scene again after finishing this show, it was pretty emotional.
Yeah.
Hit really hard,
It did
actually.
hit pretty hard.
Because we know what they're going to go through.
Yeah,
and
the
this
15
was just
years
the beginning
following this.
Of the boys.
Yeah, this was only the beginning.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
These poor young little Winchesters.
Oh my goodness, 26 and 22. Oh, Dean Winchester just had a birthday. January 24th. This is for you.
Birthday.
Happy 42nd birthday, Dean Winchester. I hope you are enjoying pie.
Yes.
Also, the story sets up that the Impala is going to be a huge part of the story because the family is sitting on the Impala after Mary dies, and then they're with it throughout the entire episode, and it's the main focus at the last shot of the episode.
Right, and we obviously see that the Impala is going to be important.
It's got an episode.
Well, of course, but then you see Dean worry about his car after they've dealt with the ghost. And you can just tell that that's his car.
That's his car. Except for in season 1, I guess we can talk about it later when we get to more episodes when I notice it more. But he lets his car get so dirty. And even in season 1 at some point, John's like, well, I give you this car and you're just gonna, like, get it all dirty. And I was like, that's such a weird character.
Right, but then it could make sense because
John told him, and now he's like, Dad told me I gotta keep it clean.
But Dad's gone now, and that was his car.
Yeah, you're probably right, because that was...
So, John's gone and he's gone.
Very beginning of the second season.
Right.
Now it's for sure his.
Right, so, Dean's like, oh, this was Dad's car.
This was before they knew that people could come back from the dead.
Right.
So...
over and over and over again.
Yeah, so this was
Dean's
a big deal.
case.
And so now we can go into just other questions or criticisms we had. One thing that I had was when John hears Mary scream when he's sleeping downstairs, he runs upstairs and he doesn't see her, but then he's like, oh, whatever, and I'm just going to go look lovingly at my baby.
Right.
He doesn't even care.
He storms up the stairs. He's running. He busts in the room and just sees his baby sitting there. He's like, oh, everything's okay. Maybe he passed it off as,
why did my wife scream?
Well, maybe he thought he heard her in his sleep and he didn't actually hear that. Because sometimes...
I could believe that.
Sometimes I hear noises when I'm drifting off.
Yeah, I can believe that.
So, one of my questions was... Sam says that he never wants Jess to find out about his past. However, as we see in this first episode, Dean's in hunting. He's going to help his dad do this until this demon that killed Mommy is dead.
Until he dies at the end of a knife or a bullet.
Yeah, so...
Or a rusty nail.
A rusty nail. So, my question was so Sam, he was just never gonna talk to his brother again? Because obviously Dean's in the hunting career. Dean, at this point, as we know, is not very subtle. I mean, he was even, like, winking at her. He wasn't winking, but he was, like, flirting with Jess, being flirty.
He obviously was still wanting to keep it a secret because he was like, I gotta talk to you. And then he's like, well, you can stay in front of Jess. And he's like, no.
That makes sense.
Dad's on a hunting trip. We gotta talk alone, basically.
Yeah. I guess that does make sense because he does try to keep normal people out of it. We see how well that works. He's such a caring person.
He really wants to keep people out of his life. I mean, we see that doesn't work because he's such...
And they basically give up by season, 13. They give up.
Dean is set up to be such this, like, doesn't want to deal with any relationships at all. And Dean is probably the character in the show that has the most complex and, like, beautiful relationships, like platonic, romantic, sibling.
They're all most complicated heart.
Yeah, he does.
To possess love and
it's
admiration.
It's done so
others.
Beautifully. And Jensen Ackles acting, oh my god, we will talk about him for hours,
yes,
probably.
We could talk about him for hours. Moving on.
Yeah, we'll have to move on before we get stuck on him.
Why did he, Sam, decide to tell the husband of the woman in white about a woman in white? To scare him? I mean, Sam could infer that yes, it was the woman in white. Yes, he probably cheated to cause the woman in white because he, 1, saw her in the newspaper clipping, saw a picture of her, and 2, saw her on the bridge, try to kill him. So, you know, I don't really think he had a real moral reason to bring that up to that man.
I feel like he might have just been doing it as a long shot to maybe see, okay, is there anything I can do to help, or is something still around, like, you know, the objects that they leave. Actually, I don't think they know about that yet, because they haven't come across the salt and burn that, oh, they're cremated. Oh no, what do we do now?
Yeah.
So I guess they wouldn't know that yet, so that is a good question.
Right. I mean, Sam really didn't have to do that, in my opinion.
He was just being kind of a dick.
Right.
But, you know, guy deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, cheaters.
Cause your wife to go insane.
Cheaters, man, what the heck?
Moving on.
Yes, moving on. Also, I noticed this for the first time watching this first episode.
You pointed it out to me.
Yes. And I think
now
it's
I'm never
crazy.
going to be able to unsee it.
I know. So, guys, the baby that's in the crib at the beginning of the episode is not the baby that distraught John is holding while he's sitting on the Impala with Dean.
I mean, we're not making this like a 100% definitive statement because we can't be 100% sure, but it looks very different.
It looks so different. I can't say for sure, but I have my suspicions because the baby's hair...
The baby's hair in the second
baby's
time
hair
is longer.
Yeah. Way longer than the first
the second
baby's,
baby, I hate to say it, is cuter.
Yeah.
Second baby's little chubby face is cuter.
This other baby is now like 15, 16.
They're like, they listen to this
They're
podcast
making
and they're like,
more
what
money
the fuck?
than me.
They're like, what the fuck?
And my other criticism about this episode was when Dean drives away near the end of the episode, when Sam goes back into his house. I timed it. I got out my stopwatch and I timed it. And it was about a minute. It was 47 seconds, but I added a couple seconds for Sam walking up to the door. When that, So Dean drives away. You see him drive away.
Yeah.
And it's about a minute before Dean busts down that door to save Sam. How did he know to come back?
So, I can be convinced that, like, because there's the twin thing, you know, you can feel something wrong, and we obviously they have such a close bond and a close relationship, the brothers.
I wonder what that's like.
Yeah, feeling, so maybe he just sensed something was wrong, and, you know, or maybe he wasn't gonna give up on this. He just got his brother back, and he felt, you know, that love that he hasn't really felt in a long time, and he's like, I can't let this slip away again, so he's turning around. And
he may have turned around to be like, okay, after your interview...
Like, just try to keep him more in contact. Even just say one last thing. One last thing to try to keep him in his life.
Yeah. It could have been the moment where Dean was going to be like, all right, I'm going to actually tackle my feelings.
What?
Right.
And then Jess is dead, and then it takes about 15 years.
He can't tackle his feelings. His brother needs him.
Yeah, oh my god, that just sums up the entire series.
Relationship, I mean.
That's Dean. That's Dean as a whole.
Oh,
he can't deal with his feelings.
He can't deal with his feelings.
Because he needs to be there for his brother to deal.
Oh my god.
That's the show.
That's so true.
So as for any other comments, all I had was, so for the first couple seasons of the show, Netflix has sometimes different soundtracks in the episode than the original. And sometimes it's normally not a really big deal, but there's some episodes where I wish... Like, I do notice the difference, and I think one of them is better. So for this episode, in the Netflix version, I don't know exactly what song plays near the end when, like, the ghost is destroyed. But in the original version, Highway to Hell is playing, and I just think that's perfect because that sets up the entire series as well.
I mean, it does.
That sets up the journey.
Especially Dean's journey. Because it literally happens. Like,
he just started his journey to hell.
And I think it's so interesting that Netflix changes the songs...
Well, I think
or
it was
it's different on Netflix.
I think it was a rights issue, like, earlier on in the series, probably. Because it's not an issue after, like, season 3.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think it was probably they had less money.
If anybody knows the answer to that.
Yeah, message us. We are super
to
interested in knowing, and we will put a link in the bio of this episode if we find an answer. Do you have any other comments?
I don't think so. Overall, pretty good episode.
I mean, yeah, it's a solid pilot.
Yes, it is a solid pilot.
It was the beginning of a 15-year beautiful fandom that's going to continue on till the end of time.
Right. And, I mean, we got 15 years from it.
Well, I mean, I got about 5.
Well, yeah,
It's 6-ish.
Yeah. Well,
but still.
The true fans got 15
true
years.
Fans. Okay, we are true fans.
Okay, we are true fans.
We're doing a podcast.
That's true.
We're true fans.
What would we call them? We will have to
They are the
brainstorm
original,
names.
just from the beginning, the OG fans.
The original fans.
Typically, they're casual fans. Normally, the fanatic fans are ones that have binged it in a day.
Right.
And been like, holy
People
shit.
like
this
you
was amazing.
that started.
Exactly.
Right. So, do we want to start with grades and you can explain the grading system?
Yeah, so I think we're just going to do like I mean, I don't know if it's the same in other countries, but in America...
The USA grading system.
I'm so sorry, I know, we hate the USA right now too. Or no, it's actually getting better. Hell yeah, fuck Donald Trump.
Go Biden.
So, I mean, well, let's not get crazy.
Well, I mean...
But, hell yeah.
Go how the country may go soon.
We're getting there.
We should probably cut this part out.
Whatever, we'll see. So for grades, we're just gonna do kind of the general USA, I don't know,
USA
A through F.
education system.
A through F. And minuses and pluses in there. Do you want to start?
Sure. I would give this episode as a general fan and a seer of the show an A. It is a solid pilot.
There's nothing really wrong with it.
Right.
There's no big criticism.
As a beginning episode, this is good. And as, we're writers, we can analyze it a little deeper. So it's a little different.
And even then, I still think they do really well because they do have parallels in it, and they do have foreshadowing, and they do have parallels that won't even be acknowledged for another couple seasons, which they probably didn't know quite yet, but they keep them going on, and... they don't really have the opportunity right now to show off all of these techniques yet because it's only the first episode.
Right.
And so I do think it was really, really well done, and you got really good acting out of Jared and Jensen. I mean, there's a reason the show stayed on for 15 years.
And back then, 15 years ago, they were probably taking it season by season. So,
definitely. And it was going to be 3 seasons and then 5. And then it just kind of it just kind of went year by year after that.
Kind of waited for them to tell us when
it was
time.
over. But so I would probably give it an A- just because I compare it to a lot of other stuff, and I do think it's a really good episode, and there's not really any bad things in it, and it's really solid. But I like a lot of episodes a lot more than it. So those are going to get higher grades, probably.
We won't get to my favorite episode for a long time.
Uh-oh, what's your favorite episode? Let's go over our favorites.
Yes.
You can click off if you want, but we're just going to go over a couple of our favorite episodes.
My favorite episit Scooby Natural, man.
Scooby Natural is so good. It really is.
I was a Scooby-Doo kid.
So was Dean, and that just makes me even... I love Dean. We love Dean in this house.
Sam has his great times,
I love
too.
Sam. Trust me. Don't get me wrong. There will be some seasons that I'm going to bash Sam a little heavier, though, because there's some parts about him that I don't like.
Have
but also Dean.
Eyebrow quirk of soulless Sam.
Oh my God.
No, thank you.
But we're probably going to criticize every character in this show at least a little bit. They all do shitty things.
Right.
They all do really good things.
There are moments, when the story is lacking a little for maybe that character.
Finale.
Oh. What? Did you hear that?
Let's move on. We'll get there in a little bit.
3-hour-long podcast.
300 some episodes from now, we will get to that discussion. But, my favorite episode is season 12, episode 12. It is Stuck in the Middle with You, and it's the episode based on... it's like the Reservoir Dogs based...
Oh, the Tarantino movies.
Like the homage to Tarantino movies.
Right.
And it is just... I watched that, and it was such a good episode, and I love the cinematography of it, and that made me get into Tarantino movies.
Right, and Tarantino...
We love that.
...wrote that movie in such an interesting way.
That was his first movie.
Right.
And Reservoir Dogs, and there are clear, exact shot parallels in the show.
Oh, yeah.
And in the movie, and, the storyline. Like, it's so, the
like,
plots
the
are
characters
great.
are...
They're so good. And
I
thought it was so interesting and really well done. And I thought it really captured Supernatural really well as a whole, as, like, a really good episode.
And it really captured them for what they were going to do, what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and the soundtrack is amazing in that episode.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
But, all right, I think that wraps it up for today's episode. Thank you guys for listening. If you stayed this long, if you like this, you can leave me a message or maybe like it. You can figure it out. I'll figure it out over time. This is my first podcast I've ever done.
Yeah, super excited.
So,
first-time podcasters.
Yeah, so let us know if you guys like it. You guys can send us questions. We'll answer them, maybe, if they're what we deem appropriate, which we're pretty open to anything. We're open to talking about anything about this show. We are really in-depth fans. We'll try to be unbiased, but we're also going to give our opinions because we can do what we want. So,
all right. We hope you guys join us when we analyze the next episode.
We don't know when that's going to be up, but probably within the next week.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.